Well, good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us today for the inaugural UQ Japan Day. My name is Professor Rakic, and I'm the Associate Dean External Engagement within the University of Queensland's Faculty of Engineering, Architecture and Information Technology. It is my great pleasure to welcome you here today, and I see that we have over 62 participants already. Before we begin, I would like to acknowledge the traditional owners and their custodianship of the land where UQ stands. We pay respect to the elders, past, present, and emerging, who continue cultural and spiritual connections to country. We recognize the important role Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people continue to play within our community and their valuable contributions to Australian and global society. Now, it is my honor to introduce to you Professor Debbie Terry, AO, President and Vice-Chancellor of the University of Queensland, to give a welcome address. Debbie, over to you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Alex, and good morning, everybody. And as I'm also speaking to you from Brisbane, Australia, I'd like to begin by acknowledging the traditional owners of the lands on which we are meeting and paying my respects to their elders, past, present, and emerging. I'd especially like to acknowledge His Excellency, Mr. Shingo Yamagami, the Ambassador of Japan in Australia. Welcome back to UQ, Mr. Yamagami, and thank you for your support of this event. We are very disappointed that travel restrictions have prevented you from joining us here in Brisbane today, but we really do look forward to seeing you again early in the new year. I'd also like to welcome representatives from the Consulate of Japan in Brisbane, researchers from various institutions in Australia and Japan, and of course, our staff and students from UQ. So welcome one and all. And thank you for participating in this, our inaugural UQ Japan Day. And it's wonderful to be able to showcase some of the existing research that we're undertaking with our partners from Japanese universities, particularly in science and engineering, and to explore our opportunities for expanding our partnerships in Japan. UQ has a long history of engaging with Japanese partners across teaching and research, as well as partnerships with government and industry groups. Importantly, the exchange of ideas, knowledge, and talent flows that occurs in both directions between Japan and the University of Queensland. Today, there are around 1,500 UQ alumni living in Japan, and we have 18 academics on staff at UQ who were born in Japan. Over the past 5 years, it's been our privilege to educate more than 400 students from Japan. Those numbers have dipped slightly over the past 2 years, not surprisingly, but even with the disruption created by the pandemic, we still have more than 130 Japanese students enrolled at UQ this year. So we're very optimistic that as Australia's international borders are now starting to reopen, we'll be in a position to welcome more Japanese students to our campuses in 2022. We also have deepening research links with Japanese universities and research institutions. In fact, the number of research papers that UQ academics have co-published with Japanese researchers has doubled over the past 5 years. It's up from 150 papers in 2016 to more than 300 co-publications last year. That doubling of engagement is also apparent in the number of collaborative projects that we now have underway with Japanese researchers and the range of Japanese institutions that we're now partnering with. Our collaborations, as I've said, are heavily focused in the scientific disciplines. So, for example, most of our collaborative research areas like chemistry, materials science, nanotechnology, physics, environmental science, and the medical sciences. Importantly, we've been able to maintain that level of collaboration through the pandemic, even as border closures have made it impossible for us to meet in person. And this morning in the concurrent research sessions, you'll be able to hear from researchers working in some of these areas. So those 3 sessions will showcase the cutting edge research as well as the partnership approach that our UQ teams are using in the collaborative projects that they're undertaking with Osaka University, Waseda University and Kyushu University, and other partners including the Japan Science and Technology Agency and the National Institute for Materials Science. By offering these case studies of successful partnership, we hope it inspires more of our researchers to consider areas where we have complementary expertise, opportunities to collaborate, as well as potentially new ways of collaborating in the future. Then this afternoon's sessions will be specifically for our UQ staff and students, and they'll be held at the Abel Smith Lecture Theatre here on our St Lucia campus. That will be a chance to hear from 2 expert panels who will discuss the opportunities to build impactful collaborations with our Japanese partners across government, industry and the higher education sector, and to learn more about funding opportunities. So as we know, the pandemic has disrupted every sector of our society and our economy over the past 2 years. So as we emerge from this really difficult period, it is wonderful to be hosting a forum like this with our partners in Japan, where we can start exploring the opportunities that lie ahead of us. We have a terrific range of experts who are contributing their perspectives to the discussions today, and I really do thank them. I'm sure the sessions will be thought-provoking. I hope they spark new ideas, new collaborations, and new ways of working that will contribute to even closer ties being established between UQ and our Japanese colleagues in the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Terry. And now I have the great honor to introduce His Excellency, Mr. Shingo Yamagami, Ambassador of Japan to Australia, who will give his welcome address. Over to you, Your Excellency.
Thank you for that kind introduction, Professor Rakic. President and Vice-Chancellor Terry, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to begin by expressing my gratitude to the University of Queensland for inviting me to this fantastic event. It is a wonderful time to be holding such an event because Japan-Australia relationship has never been better. Queensland in particular has been a great partner to Japan. For over a century, we have shared strong ties thanks to the high level of Japanese immigration, tourism, cultural exchange, and trade. Before the pandemic hit, Queensland saw a yearly Japanese tourist count of some 212,000. which contributed $463.5 million to the state economy. That's around half of all Japanese visitors to Australia. Japan is also this state's second largest export market. With regards to our strong cultural and education exchange ties, I am keenly aware of the role that this university has played. This year marks the 56th year since the University of Queensland began offering Japanese programs. Over the past 5 decades, Japan-related courses have become more numerous and diverse thanks to the passion of teaching staff. It is surely no coincidence that Queensland is home to around 30% of all of Australia's Japanese learners. I am particularly encouraged by the career of Dr. Maurice Law, who, having received 2 Japanese government scholarships, researched at Nagoya University on the history of Japanese science and technology. Dr. Law has used his rich research and study abroad experience to give back to Japan by facilitating study programs for students from Japan at this university. One of his recent papers, Japan at the 1956 Melbourne Olympics, explores how Australia's welcoming of Japan to the Games contributed to the expansion of Japanese cultural diplomacy. It is my hope that the Brisbane 2032 Games will provide another such catalyst for a deepening of our bilateral relationship. Having overcome the tremendous challenges of Tokyo 2020, Japan has a lot to share with Brisbane for successful games. The Brisbane Games will also provide ample opportunity for Australia to promote advances in science and technology. Japan, as many of you know, has historically been a society which highly values technology and craftsmanship. In the Edo period, the Tokugawa government instituted a hierarchy of samurai, farmers, artisans, and merchants known as Shino Kosho. Artisans, including engineers, were considered of great value to society. Japan's post-war economic growth, realized in part through the hard work of such engineers and scientists, further solidified the great respect for technological innovation in Japanese society. It is therefore with a sense of deep pride that Japanese scientists and engineers strive to make technological breakthroughs. Of the 28 Japanese Nobel Prize winners, 12 have been physicists, 8 chemists, and 5 have been for physiology or medicine. These days, Japan, like Australia, places particular focus on hydrogen, smart city, and space technology. But there is a wide range of research underway. UQ's Professor Yamauchi Yusuke has been leading a team of researchers to develop innovative nanoporous materials in collaboration with Japan's National Institute for Materials Science and Waseda University. The materials developed have potential applications in various environmental, health, and energy-related technologies. Perhaps more significantly, however, this project encourages meaningful collaboration between Australian and Japanese early to mid-career researchers. Dr. Yamauchi has also been a driving force behind today's event. I am grateful that his passion for collaborative research has brought us here today. To conclude, I would like to emphasize that today's UQ Japan Day is a great opportunity for information to be shared and networks to be made. I hope this opportunity will serve to strengthen the people-to-people ties that have built up the Australia-Japan relationship. I look forward to seeing what our combined scientific and engineering knowledge and experience can achieve. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. So I would equally like to echo the sentiments that both the Ambassador and Vice-Chancellor have conveyed. It is wonderful that we can come together both virtually and in person to celebrate our partnerships with Japan and create new and existing collaborations, especially within the engineering and science field. UQ and our partner universities in Japan have already been making great headway, and we will soon take this step further in our upcoming research workshops this morning with Osaka University, Waseda University, and Kyushu University. Our work with our partner universities includes the ERATO project that Professor Yusuke Yamauchi has been heading up at our Australian Institute of Bioengineering and Nanotechnology, to the materials analysis work being done in conjunction with Kyushu University. I look forward to hearing these topics explored in the next sessions, and I hope that whichever session you are participating in, you find it rewarding and insightful, and that the discussions strengthen and take our partnership to new heights. And to those who are able to be here in person, I hope you get a lot out of this afternoon sessions, which are face-to-face, learning how to engage with Japanese industry, government, and the higher education sector, from experts like Takadachi and Investment Queensland Commissioner to Japan, So it's an invaluable opportunity, and we will be funding opportunities session created to help support your research aspiration. I'm looking forward to a fantastic day and to connecting with many of you in the sessions and then in the networking reception later in the afternoon, which we will hold at the Sir Lou Edwards building here at St. Lucia campus. So hopefully with borders opening soon, we will be able to welcome all our Japanese partner university colleagues to campus as well. Until then, please make the most of this morning's virtual sessions that we will be joining starting from 11:15 Brisbane time and 10:15 a.m. Japan time. So for the time being, thank you and looking forward to seeing you soon.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Yamagami. Thank you.